Morning, happy Monday to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's looking reasonably good at the start of trade on Monday for the Indian equity markets. In fact, it started off on a very positive note, building on the gains from the end of last week. Remember, on Friday, the benchmark indices gained close to 2% each, with the Nifty scaling the 15,000 mark and technical experts pointing to 15,200 as the next level that the Nifty 50 will have to cross and hold, in fact to close at, for the next leg of the rally to really take it higher. We briefly crossed that 15,200 mark in trade today, but we're looking just a tad bit weaker than that point. In fact, we're trading just below that mark for the Nifty 50. Let's look at some of the components of the Nifty 50 that are moving in trade. In fact, you have more or less even Stevens between gainers and losers at this point. The top 4 or 5 gainers: Power Grid Corporation, Hero MotoCorp. Hero MotoCorp incidentally is starting production at all of its manufacturing facilities today. IOC is gaining in trade about 1.8%. L&T is looking good. Divi's Lab on the back of its earnings, even though it saw a contraction in PAT on a sequential basis, and in fact EBITDA margins contracted as much as 2 percentage points. It has gained about 1.6% so far in trade. On the losing side, you have the likes of Shree Cement, that's losing about 3%. JSW Steel down about 2.8%, despite very strong earnings. Perhaps to a certain extent you could say that profit booking is kicking in. The stock, of course, as part of the steel pack, has done very well for itself over the past several months. Hindalco losing ground about 1.7%. Tata Steel also losing about 1.5%. Titan down 1.5% as well. All right, now if you were to look at the sectoral indices, you would get a clearer picture of what the tone of the market is. Nifty Bank currently trading about 0.5% in the green. Metals pack, based on what I've said already, you could have gauged that it's the one laggard today, down about 1.4%, and the FMCG index is trading just a tad bit weak, not big cuts mind you, down about 0.3% or so. From the broader markets, and in fact the overall market breadth is actually supportive of the gainers. You have nearly 1,200 gainers at this point and just over 600 losers. The broader markets are actually doing better than the benchmark, with the mid cap and small cap index gaining about 0.33% and 0.7% respectively. From the broader markets, I would like to name a few. In fact, Natco Pharma is doing particularly well for itself, hit lifetime highs earlier in the session, up at this point over 10% on the back of a couple of approvals that came in for a couple of their products in the US from the US FDA, one of them a cancer drug. So that stock is doing very well for itself today. Birla Soft on the back of results is also buzzing and trade up as much as 11%. On the losing end, you have the likes of HFCL, you have Gujarat Ambuja Exports, you have Ircon, you have TCI Exports, all losing ground. The context that we're currently in, of course, is that you've seen a reduction in COVID-19 cases, so there is a little bit of hope. But once again, you saw the COVID-19 daily increase come in at 2.67 lakh, which is an increase compared with Sunday's number of 2.4 lakh. So perhaps just a tad bit of pessimism creeping in, but overall there is cautious optimism. I know I've said that quite a few times in the recent past, but that is the case. Until we see a very considerable fall in the daily number, I don't think that we'll be able to get out of the woods, so to speak, at least with regard to COVID-19 is concerned. Of course, on the earnings front, you have Grasim that will be reporting its numbers today, and also a couple of other interesting names in the cement space, and you also have a couple of other interesting names in the F&B space that you should pay attention to. But broadly, it's going to be an interesting session. Do stay tuned. Tune into ET Now over the course of the day for all the live updates on the market.